Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran and BFA is right around the corner. So if you're somebody who's like me who wants to be prepared, you're trying to research as much as there is about the game. In this video, I want to talk to you guys about all the content that's going to be available in BFA once the game launches. Online, I saw a few forum posts on the World of Warcraft website that there's nothing to do with BFA, so this made me want to make a video of everything that you can do, and then you guys can kind of decide whether the forums are right or the game is actually looking pretty exciting. Anyway, let's get on with the video. Majority of the content is going to be restricted to level 120, but there are a few things that you can do before you reach max level. While you are questing to level 120, I do recommend you to finish all the zones and the story stuff to get the rep, which you're going to require for your flying achievement in the future of BFA anyway. First part of the content is going to be the dailies. Dailies are going to be exactly as they were in Legion, allowing you to choose which dailies you want to do, but it always helps to at least finish your emissary quests. For emissary quest, once you finish 4 dailies of a zone, if you get that zone as an emissary, you'll unlock an emissary chest. Most of the dailies as well as the emissary chest will have your rewards for gear, Azeroth power gathering, as well as reputations. Next up is going to be the big one, the war campaign. Now this one you'll be able to access, I believe at level 114 as your level, unless Blizzard changes up the levels for that. You'll be able to access the main story and the storyline of BFA. You are going to want to follow up the war campaign story. The war campaign is going to open up you some features like exploring the other side of the islands. Let's say if you're Horde, you get to have access to the Alliance Islands and vice versa. Opening up the main story of the game, Sylvanas versus Anduin, the Horde versus Alliance conflict, as well as features like islands, Warfronts, and more. One of the side features of the war campaign are going to be command tables and upgrade bonuses. Exactly the same command tables and upgrade bonuses that you might remember back from Legion. You can use command tables to do some menial things like sending followers to get you resources, and it's a pretty good way of going about it. Let's say if you want to do this while you're at work or busy away from WoW. It is something you can work with, but it isn't supposed to be time gating or story reliant, as in you won't have to do the command tables just to advance the main story. So if you found that intrusive, then I guess you should be happy. We also get Islands, which is a reincorporation of scenarios from back in Pandaria, allowing us to access all the various islands that shift around with different enemies, different challenges, and have different modes. The modes for Islands will be Mythic mode, Heroic mode, Normal mode, which are the PvE modes, maybe even a Mythic Plus mode in the future, and a PvP mode where you can fight against other players in order to get your islands done, which in a way is like a PvP content type of deal. The islands will primarily be used, as Blizzard stated, for Azeroth farming, but I'm pretty sure they'll have other rewards as well. Past the islands, we have a new feature called Warfronts, which is a limited time in-game event allowing 20 players to participate in this massive faction war of Horde versus Alliance, where you play in this RTS Warcraft E3 style event, building up your Warfronts, building up your forces, and using those forces to send waves of the enemies until you take down certain key points, advance your troops, and take over the enemy stronghold. Once you do the event, which is going to have many rewards and probably part of the catch-up mechanic for other characters, it'll offer you good gear as well as dailies. Dailies in those zones are going to have a world boss for you to team up with your faction and take down for rewards, as well as dailies for resources, Azeroth power, maybe even gear, so they're definitely worth doing once they are available, and they are supposed to be available first for the Horde for a couple days and maybe then for Alliance, and they're supposed to switch back and forth, so whenever it's available for your faction, or if you're on an alt and your alt has availability for it, you should definitely take a look at those whenever you get a chance. Of course, you still have dungeons, and one of my favorite parts, the Mythic Plus dungeon system, which they're continuing to explore on, adding even seasonal affixes. Seasonal affixes will tag on to a dungeon once it's at 10 plus, and it will offer you different affixes that throw a curveball into the gameplay. With Mythic Plus dungeons being pretty difficult as is at certain levels, and adding even more curveballs adds a lot more challenge, but also even, I would guess, more rewards. And I like how they're expanding on the content of Mythic Plus dungeons. Of course, we will still have raids that will come out eventually after a bit of time, and then of course the LFR version of the raids will come out eventually as well. I am excited to get into the raids, as some of the mechanics for the heroic and even mythic version of the bosses are actually looking very awesome. And then of course we have a whole overhaul with a lot of the PvP elements. We have War Mode, which allows you access to world PvP. By allowing yourself to put a target on your back, you get better rewards while out in the world doing dailies, and 10% more to questing, and access to your honor talents, which is awesome. We have arenas and the overhaul of the rating system, as well as the title system to be a little bit more modernized. We have battlegrounds, which are a staple of WoW PvP. I'm hoping they will add more battlegrounds as the expansion goes on. And if you're a fan of duels, fear not, we have Duelers Guild, finally an area where duelers can just hang out and duel one another in AQ. So when it comes to player versus player, there's a lot of features I have covered on the channel before. There's a lot of features I've talked about in the past, and it's not a lot of like brand new dungeons, brand new raids, brand new battlegrounds, but it's just more overhauls to the system we already know. Now, there's a lot more for me to cover as well. There's professions, pet battles, you got the brand new allied races for Dark Iron and the Makar coming out, which means even more people are going to be going back to questing and trying to get as many allied races, heritage armor as possible. So there's a lot to come out for the game in the future, but I only want to cover all the main things that a lot of people are interested in, so I'll leave you guys with this question. Do you think BFA is looking like an expansion that'll have a lot of stuff to do in the opener, or is this actually boring as the forum posts say? Granted, this is the early game stuff that we're getting. We're probably going to get more take a look at in the game. There's probably going to be a lot more to come out, more raids, more dungeons, maybe even more battlegrounds and more ways for us to play the game. But let me know that in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. As always, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like the video if you enjoyed it, and I'll see all of you guys in another video. Oh, and Discord links down below as well.